if we're on. And we're on. Perfect. We're on. All right, Franco. So just for our viewers and listeners to know, we just had a bit of an issue. For some reason, Boomcaster opened up a new stream on YouTube. I have no idea why.
This
Am I
is
hearing
interesting.
echo, Franco, or is it?
No, I'm fine. So I'm just doing the making sure that I can see the chat
Ah,
over
I
here.
had another link. All right, and we're on. Hey guys, welcome back to the Ad Lib Podcast. Today is episode number 73. We're on a different streaming service this time. We're on Riverside. Reason being, we had an issue with Boomcaster. For some reason, Boomcaster decided to open a new link. I have absolutely no idea why it would do that. But unfortunately, the apps are what we have to use as the situation is right now. So we've switched to Riverside for this episode. Today, we've got lots to talk about. How's it going, first of all, Franco?
It's going good. Nice to be back again. You've had just Joe and Andrea on the podcast. Hope you didn't miss me. Hope they didn't bore you with nerdy talk about Marvel hate and House of the Dragon talk as well, which we're going to talk about. I've been good. We've had our first trio. We watched the three of us together. Love Lies Bleeding, which we will also talk about later on. And how are you doing, Andrea?
Not bad, not bad. It was really fun to get together last Saturday. Get to watch Love Lies Bleeding. It was very fun watch as well.
Fun watch.
Very interesting. We'll talk about it later on, of course. Doing good. Been up to quite a lot of stuff this week. Hey, Yella, how's it going? Hope all is
Oh,
good
Yella's here.
in sunny London over there. Yeah, it's been a good week, very busy week. I think we can get straight into it, Franco, because today we've got loads to talk about. We've obviously have a lot of trailers, as people can tell from the thumbnail. First of all, we've got the trailer for Dune Prophecy to talk about, and we'll get into that. We've got the trailer for House of the Dragon Season 2 coming to us with a brand new trailer. An interesting one here, a little indie one I fit in as well, is the trailer for Longlegs, in which we see Nicolas Cage and Maika Monroe. We've got The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, giving us our first trailer, showcasing the struggle against the Dark Lord Sauron. And after that, we've also got some Megalopolis to talk about. Francis Ford Coppola with his most recent, well, crazy, mind-blowing, horrible, disaster. We don't know, but that's what we're
It's
going to
it's
discuss.
the most bipolar reviews you can ever get,
Yep.
basically.
Is it a masterpiece? Is it a disaster? It could be both, or it could be neither. I guess we'll find out obviously
We'll
later on
find
when
out.
that
We'll
comes
find out.
out, but we'll have a look at the first reactions and reviews coming from Cannes Film Festival.
But
Yes, Franco.
and I think Can what they don't know is what the Adli podcast is all about. Can
Oh,
doesn't
yeah.
know.
Well, that's my introduction over and done then. Because the Ad Lib Podcast is all about movies, all about series, and all about video games. And since we talk about video games, sometimes here and there, we've got a bit of a video game to talk about today. A little video game called Assassin's Creed Shadows, which anyone who's on Twitter might have heard of and might have heard who one of the main protagonists is, coming by the name of Yasuke. That's
Yasuke.
going to be an interesting discussion we'll have. Um, because we'll also get into some local stuff as well. There was an important news article by, was it
Times of Malta.
by Times of Malta, yeah?
Yeah.
Asking the question, where are all the films? Drought of foreign films has crews worry. That was written by Mark Lawrence Mead and Emma Borch.
Emma Borch,
And
about
then
Emma Borch.
we'll have a look at the response as well by the film commissioner. And finally, our review. Of course, like I said, we went to watch Love Lies Bleeding this week, so we'll give you a little bit of a review for that fascinating watch at the cinema. So, Franco, I think we can get straight into it. What have you been up to this week? What have you been watching? What have you been doing?
So basically, I've been reading as usual. I've been reading, and now I'm dividing my time between decolonizing the Maltese mind and an interesting book called Black Shirts and Reds, a bit more of political reading since I'm going to be a bit more active after I quit this month. And there's also, I think who said Keith last time he mentioned Inside Number Nine.
He mentioned, yes, he mentioned that I believe that was the horror show Keith mentioned. Yeah, I believe
Yes,
so.
I started watching Inside Number Nine. It's an anthology series where basically the common thread is the number nine, that all of these stories happen behind the door of the house with the number nine. Very interesting. Reese Shearsmith and I think it's Sean Pemberton, if I'm not mistaken. They're quite the affable duo. Even the writing, their acting as well. And Reese Shearsmith, he was, I don't know if you remember, he was also in A Field in England.
No,
I don't know if you have ever seen A Field in England.
nope,
You've yet to see A Field in England.
I have not. I have not.
Please confess your sins and um, make sure that you how shall I say remedy that situation immediately.
Will do, will do.
I feel I feel in
Together with
England
the
by Ben
200,
Wheatley.
together with the 200 other movies I have on my watch list. To be honest
Exactly,
with you.
exactly. And inside number nine, I'm enjoying it. It's Ari Aster light because there's that sense of dread, but then at the same time there's also moments where you burst out laughing, some good laugh out loud moments. I'm looking forward to keep digging in, and I'm just picking random episodes since it's an anthology,
Okay.
and there's no connecting storylines. It's great to watch, like easy also consumption as well. It's 30 minutes and it was on the BBC. So I suggest that. How about you, Mr.
Oh,
Andrea?
Keith was watching a different one. No, the anthology series I refer to is Them. Them. No, it's a different one. Sorry,
Them.
Keith.
Ah, yes,
I messed
yes.
up the anthology
Love
series.
Island, Live Island Polter review call, please. No, I'm
Oh,
not
sorry,
watching
Ella.
it.
I
No,
refuse to watch
sorry,
it.
Yella. I
I
refuse. I
refuse.
refuse. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't have time to watch Bridgerton. No, I'm so sorry. I will remedy that this week. I'll find time
La-
to watch Bridgerton.
Love Island Victorian times, basically,
No, I have not watched
Bridgerton.
Bridgerton. You Franco, I love Bridgerton. I really
I
like
know, I know.
Bridgerton. I'm a big Bridgerton fan. Tristian watched all 4 episodes. She binged that shit. I have not yet had the time, unfortunately. I had a very busy week. But I will remedy that this week. That's a really good, training watch, because I like to watch stuff when I'm training, unless it's chess, because obviously chess, I'm looking at the ceiling, not not at the laptop screen. But when I train, I love to watch something, to have something on the laptop going on. I think Bridgerton is a very good option to have there going on. Anything else, Franco? You've been up to?
No, that's so much. That's it so much, and I think I might watch something tonight called Pandemonium, a
Okay.
French horror, which piqued my interest. I need to get watching some, excuse me, some classics. Actually, I found a channel on YouTube, which is also good for you guys to check out. Um, uh, Let me find. They're showing right now. Um, uh, Akira Kurosawa's Noir Drunken Angel,
Ooh, okay.
and it's on the YouTube. It's on the YouTube channel called Old Films Revival Project.
What's that?
Old Films Revival Project. There's amazing, like there's amazing selection. There's Akira Kurosawa. There's Rebecca of Alfred Hitchcock. There's The Seventh Seal of Ingmar Bergman.
Mm-hmm.
David Lean, Oliver Twist, and then there were none, Rene Clair. So lots of classics. There's also Daisies by Vera Chitilova, which is one movie that I have to check out because it's what shall I call it? Um, uh, it's one of the quintessential Czechoslovakian new wave movie, by the way.
Okay.
There's
All right.
also Fist in the Pocket of Marco Bellocchio and Black Narcissus by Michael Powell and Emmerich Pressburger. Oh my god.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
Anyway, good stuff. Yes.
Um, in my case, I finished a few shows this week. I don't know if Franco, you've not been watching any shows in particular, right? Currently.
Not much. And by the way, Keith, I know about them. There was this second season premiering on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. Otherwise, nothing much. I actually did watch something very interesting. Timothy Chalamet, directed by Martin Scorsese for
Oh, the ad.
yeah,
Yes.
the ad of was it Chanel? What was
Chanel, I think.
the
Oh, that was Chanel. Right? I saw it on Twitter.
it looks so good. I mean, I liked it. And the blue, and I also love that actress. She was in Bottoms. I think Rose Liu, if I'm not mistaken.
I
She's so
forgot.
gorgeous in that advert.
Okay,
Anyhow,
let
yeah,
me move on.
Havana Rose Liu.
Havana
That's
Rose Liu. Okay, all right. So moving on. I've been watching a few things this week. I finished a few series. First one was Franklin. I watched that
by the
on
way,
Friday. Yeah,
Andrea,
Franco.
are you sharing the screen or not?
No, I'm currently not sharing anything on the screen. As in, it's
Do
just
it.
our pretty faces.
No, no, no. People don't need a bit of a break from our pretty faces.
Let me bring up IMDb. Bring up the shows I'm talking about.
That's the
So
one. That's the one, Kate. Yep. Second season of them is called They Scare.
okay, then the scare. So, as I was saying, on Friday, I finally finished the show Franklin, which is available on Apple TV Plus. Gonna bring it up on the screen right now. There it is. So, Apple, available on Apple TV Plus. To be honest, the final episode was very good. Basically, it's a very slow moving show. Very, very, very slow moving show. And pretty much everything happens in the final episode. All the important discussions. The previous episodes were all about setting up the character, setting up the stakes, which is fine, which is interesting enough to watch. But obviously, the what really mattered here was how the US finally reached a peace agreement with Britain and received its independence. And spoilers, all that happens pretty much in the final episode. So the final episode is great. There's some great drama going on, great acting as well. The actors on this were bloody fantastic, really, really
So
good.
they asked for a ceasefire? No way. No.
No, spoilers. But yeah, some good, very good performances overall. Some great drama in the final episode, which is as you can tell from the rating, 8.2, very, very strong episode. But then if you look at the rest of the episodes, the ratings, I think, on IMDb are very accurate as to how interesting or not interesting they were. Always sitting at a 7, right? Always, for me, it was always sitting at a 3.5. But the final episode was very strong, was a very strong episode. So if you want to check out Franklin, I would actually recommend watching the first episode and watching the last episode. And basically you'll get everything, because I mean it's history anyways. There's a lot going on with Franklin's grandson, which I found not very interesting, right? I don't know. I know I included it because they didn't have enough content to work with to set up 8 episodes. The stuff with Temple, his grandson, not very interesting. I don't know why it was included. Not to say that Noah Jupe did not give a good performance, because he did. It's just he didn't have a lot of material to work with. And the writers did not have a lot of material to work with in that case. Also finished Sugar. Sugar was an interesting watch. I loved it up to episode 6. And then in episode 6, something happens. And that completely ruined the show for me.
Oh, lalo, okay.
Now, I tried as best as I could to ignore that plot point, but unfortunately episode 8 kind of constantly pushes it into your face, and it's the major plot point going into the final episode, which is a shame. I've seen a lot of people saying that they love this plot twist, so it could just be me. I don't know. Looking at the ratings on IMDb, I mean, episode 6 got an 8.2. It's probably the highest rated episode from them all.
Yeah.
So it could just be me who hated this twist. I know it's
No,
not
it
just
is
me. I've
not,
seen a lot
not
of.
it's good. It's you, because even
No.
Even Love Lies Bleeding. You had a particular comment. So yeah.
But I've seen a lot of people talk about it on Twitter as well, and a lot of people have been very critical about that twist on Twitter, and then also other people who loved it. So I think it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag as to the reactions to this show. Still a very well
If
shot show though.
if anything, I'd want to check this one and Ripley. Speaking of very well shot
Oh
shows,
damn,
I
Ripley's so
I think
good.
I might after I get enough of Inside Number Nine, I'll watch Ripley.
Something else, Franco, and then I think we can get into Dark Matter for a little bit because I know you were watching Dark Matter
Oh
as well.
yeah, yeah. That's
Um,
right.
I'd like to give my final review for X-Men '97, which had its final episode, this week, and I think this is the best thing Marvel have created in years and years. I think probably the best thing Marvel have created in the past 10, 15 years, in my opinion. It's a fantastic show. The animation is stunning, beautiful animation. The action is so good. The action in this so creative. The X-Men use their powers in fantastic ways. I think this is exactly how you bring an old show back to life, with still respect for what you previously had, right? But pushing it forward to new directions. And I think the writers for X-Men '97, Bodamayo, Stanley, Bodamayo especially, did a fantastic job about it. Now, Bodamayo, as far as I know, is not going to be working on the second season of X-Men, if I remember correctly, because he had a bit of an issue with his OnlyFans. Yeah, I might be mixing up the guy.
OnlyFans.
But as far as I know, Bodamayo was fired. Yes, that's the guy. Fired X-Men '97 creator Bodamayo clarifies involvement with season 2. X-Men '97 showrunner executive producer Bodamayo, who was fired just ahead of the series premiere on Disney Plus on March 20th, has clarified his involvement with season 2 in a tweet responding to questions from fans. Bodamayo said that while he wrote a lot of season 2, he will not be heavily involved in the production of it. I did write a lot of season 2. However, unlike season 1, I will not be heavily involved or leading production, cast records, design, editorial, post, music, etc., nor doing any production rewrites as it relates to the creative vision of the show. This is why I've said I can't really speak to season 2, but looking forward to seeing the final product with you all whenever it airs. I have high hopes. And the claims I've seen on Twitter, I'll take that with a grain of salt, on X, sorry, is that he had an OnlyFans and he was fired because of some stuff that was on his OnlyFans. That's what I've heard. Now,
But there's also apparently I'm reading on Fandom Wire here that he was also like an absolute nightmare to deal with on a daily basis. He's been really annoying them, the Marvel leadership, for a while now. And there's nothing to
um,
do with the facts.
Franco, this sounds very similar to what was said about Henry Cavill, where
Uh-huh.
they want to get rid of someone for an unspecified reason. In the case of Henry Cavill, because he wanted to stick to the lore. And so they start saying what an asshole the guy is and how annoying he is to work with. Sounds very similar to that. By the way, Yella
Okay.
also loves X-Men '97. How are we supposed to wait another year or so for the next season? I don't know, Yella. I really don't know. But all I know is this is definitely a show I will rewatch. I mean, I rewatched quite a few episodes of X-Men '97. Haven't done that in a very, very long time, rewatching episodes.
Yeah,
You were
by the
saying,
way,
Franco?
no, by the way, you were right because I saw that he had defended Henry Cavill. Like it has nothing to do with. Okay, it had nothing to do with what you call it, the his OnlyFans or whatever. That was just like you said. Basically, he wanted to stick to the lore and basically. I mean, I don't think if that's the thing, uh, if that's the thing, I don't feel like it's going to be season 2 will be as good as season 1. Then if they
He
find
was
the
the
guy,
mind behind it. He was the mind behind it, basically, Bodamayo. He was the guy who led everything. He was everything for season 1 of X-Men. So it's a big pity. It's a real big pity. But
It's really interesting. This guy was difficult to work with for the simple reason that he wanted to stick to the lore, but other people
wait, that's
like
Henry Cavill who wanted to stick to the lore. When I was talking about it, Henry Cavill wanted to stick to the lore.
okay.
I don't know. Like I know Bodemaya was the genius behind it all. I'm guessing he also wanted to stick to the lore. I don't think, however, the issue was sticking with the lore. I think the issue with sticking to the lore was more The Witcher, where The Witcher had some writers who, unfortunately, for various different reasons, didn't really want to create The Witcher, wanted to create their own show. But they
Okay.
can't get the funding for it, so they use The Witcher to create their own show, which is very unfortunate and ruining some of the best stories from The Witcher, which is very unfortunate.
Anyway.
Anyways, that's it with regard to shows, because I didn't have time to watch The Sympathizer this week, which releases obviously on Sunday at 9 p.m. in the US. So Monday at 3 in the morning for us here in Malta. I'll watch it after the podcast.
I have to apologize to the viewers. I also have to remedy a situation. I'm not really good with TV series, especially I Park Chan-wook series, man, The Sympathizer.
Yep. With regard to movies, I watched not a lot this week. Didn't have much time, but I watched Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan. As you know, I got my
Okay.
Blu-rays, 4K Blu-rays for all the Star Trek movies. Finally got the time to watch the second, the 1982 Star Trek 2, Wrath of Khan, which I described on Letterboxd as an excellent space adventure. Obviously, most well known for Ricardo Montalban's amazing performance as Khan. He hams it up to the right degree, right? He does a great job as the antagonist. Very impressive special effects. It's 1982, and the visual effects on that are insane. And the ending, I won't spoil it in case you haven't watched it, but the ending is just really emotional, really emotional. With you, Franco, I watched Love Lies Bleeding. We'll talk about that later on. I watched La Chimera, which Joe reviewed on his YouTube channel. I loved. Let me bring that up on the screen. Actually, La Chimera, which I highly recommend. Beautifully shot on stunning 35 and 16 millimeter. It's a mixture of 35 and 16. The 16 is usually used for the dream sequences, the dream scenes, when Josh O'Connor's character starts to dream about his long lost girlfriend. It's very Fellini-esque, Franco in a way.
Right.
It's a nice little blend of realism, as you can tell from this scene, very gritty, but also lots of magic involved, like magical realism, which I honestly loved. And one of the things I love most about films is when they make very good use of the setting, and I think the director here, Alice Rohrwacher, makes excellent use of the setting. Obviously, this is shot on location, shot around the lands of where obviously the Etruscans once lived. By the way, really good poster as well. Yeah, haven't seen this poster. Really good poster.
This guy is having quite the time, eh? Challengers. He was in The Crown as well.
Yes, Josh O'Connor.
La Chimera.
Having a pretty Italian time of it, because this is obviously set in
Yeah.
Italy.
Challengers is in Italy as well, most probably.
And has some dialogue in Italian as well in this. This is one of the 2024's best films. Might make it in my top 10 of the year. Definitely my
Ooh,
top 10 so
okay.
far. I think the cinematography, the direction, the heavy themes, the very eclectic cast of characters we have in this, I think they all work to create a great movie. So I highly recommend La Chimera.
Interesting.
I watched with my family, because I always get to watch a film with my family. Actually, I watched 2 films with my family. I watched an absolute classic and one which I took off my watch list finally, The 400 Blows, Francois Truffaut's amazing directorial debut. This was a great watch. We're all involved in education one way or another, me and my family. My dad obviously is a lecturer at university. My mom is an educational officer. And watching this was a great watch, because we're all obviously, again, all involved in a lot of deal with kids. It's our day-to-day basis, right? Well, I mean, my dad now deals with teenagers, not kids, but more or less we're there, right? And there's a quote that I wrote down, which I absolutely loved. At one point, the young kid says, "Oh, I lie now and then. I suppose sometimes I tell them the truth and they still wouldn't believe me. So I prefer to lie." That really hit hard. Really hit hard. Obviously semi-biographical, directorial debut by Francois Truffaut. The interesting story, Franco, is the story about Cannes when Truffaut was kicked out for being too harsh of a critic at the film festival. So he decided to make his own film, come back to Cannes, and win the whole thing, and just carry the whole thing.
I mean, he
Amazing stuff.
started off. Listen, he started off as a critic with the career of cinema, together with, if I'm not mistaken, um, Jean-Luc Godard and Claude Chabrol, if I'm not mistaken. They were really fascinated with the American West and whatnot, which is a really nice dialogue to have. How the westerns affected French cinema as well, and then led to the French New Wave. And another interesting trivia is Jean-Pierre Léaud, the kid protagonist that kept on being Francois Truffaut's double
Yep.
in the in the Francois Truffaut extended universe,
It's a
basically.
trilogy, not a trilogy, I believe.
If I'm not mistaken, yes, there's this, and I forgot the next two. And also, have you seen Jules Legime?
No, no. Yeah. Oh, yes.
I
Sorry, Julia Jim. Yes, of course I've watched it. Yes,
Okay.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I have watched Julia Jim.
I need to get to watch more Truffaut, but
Ah,
Jules Legime is one of my favorites. So
yes.
there's this.
It's
I
these
I
two
was
basically that I've watched from him: Julia Jim and 400 Blows, basically.
400 blows. Funny enough, 400 blows was not as hard hitting as Jules Legime. I don't understand why. I mean, I could see what he was trying to see to make. I think this period of time I prefer the Italian wave to the French.
I think Franco, the reason why it wasn't hard hitting, because I don't think it's the kind of film that's gonna have you in tears by the end of it. But
No,
it's the
no,
kind of
no.
film which you reflect about and start thinking about. And there and then, I mean, obviously, I appreciated the skill, the camera work, the acting, and so on. But it's not the kind of film where I was like, oof, wow, real hard hitting, like you said.
Mm-hmm.
But upon reflection, and as I started to think, I think there is a lot of subtle stuff going on there. The stuff with the parents, the way the parents treat the kid, the stuff going on at school, and how the kid was treated at school. And as I thought about it, the more and more I thought, wow, this was really effective in what Truffaut wanted to achieve out of this.
Yes, yes. I think what was very like progressive in the have here trying to reconnect.
All right, Franco, you're on.
Um,
Yeah, yeah, we could hear you. And we lost Franco. So hopefully he'll be back on in a second. So that was the last. No, actually, there was one more film I had to talk about, and that was Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I got to watch with my family as well. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, which I watched this Sunday. I had a great time watching this. I had a really good time. What a wonderful day. Films like Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes are exactly why I love going to the cinema. And I wrote on my letterboxd why I love going to the cinema on a Sunday morning with my family. Franco, you're back on?
Hi, okay, okay, because I
All
was
right,
back.
you're back
Sorry,
on.
the the Wi-Fi can is a bit
Yeah, you're lagging a little bit,
sometimes when
Franco.
it's windy it gets oh, okay.
Yeah, you're lagging a little
No,
bit.
I was saying, what was I was saying? Uh, Still lagging?
No, 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 you're good now.
Hello?
You're good
Okay,
now,
okay.
Franco.
Sorry, guys, technical difficulties. I was saying that the 400 blows was very progressive in that time because it showed a different picture of education. And now, speaking of education and kids, we're speaking of monkeys and apes. No, sorry. Kids can be sometimes troublesome monkeys. No.
Yes. But this I also got to watch with my parents. Had a very good time, really good time. The Planet of the Apes movies have been the movies I've always watched with my parents for some reason. Like
And now it's
going going way back to 2001. Franco, can you hear me? Or I can't hear Franco. I'm going to continue talking. Hopefully we're not stuck. So going way back to 2001, I used to go to watch the Planet of the Apes movies. Always had a great time watching these. And we got to watch this in the cinema. And like I was saying, great watch, really, really good watch. Amazing CGI, fantastic CGI by Weta. I mean, the fur, just there's something about the fur, the eyes, which is just so insanely real, feels so insanely real. Franco, you're back. I'm just talking a little bit about Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. I think Wes Ball has done a fantastic job in, bringing back a franchise, restarting a franchise that honestly I thought could go nowhere else with the end of the Caesar storyline. And I wish a franchise like Star Wars would do this, where they would, push the timeline forward 200, 300 years, have some links here and there with what was happening in the past, but try and keep it as innovative and fresh as possible. Now, to be fair, it's true that the themes which are tackled in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes are still the same as 300 years ago, basically. What does help is that you've got some very interesting characters. So we've got the character of Noah, who is, I think, very likable, nowhere as charismatic or as powerful as Caesar, of course, but he's a very, very likable character. And from the start, I think pretty much from the first scene, I was in with Noah. Great character there. With regard to the Freya Allen character, Nova, she's fine. I like Freya Allen. She's great in The Witcher series. She's fine, but she really doesn't have a lot to work with here. So I hope Freya Allen gets more to work with in the second of this second part trilogy. Another character I love is Raka, voiced by Peter Macon. I'm gonna assume Peter Macon, and his character was lovable, really lovable. And obviously, however, my absolute favorite character was Kevin Durant's Proxima Caesar, who is absolutely fantastic in this. Let me see if I can find a shot of him. But he is absolutely fantastic in this. Really great performance. Here we are.
Andrea,
Proxima Caesar.
Is it okay?
Yeah, can hear you now, Franco.
Okay. Sorry for for that. I don't know what's happening.
Don't worry. Proxima Caesar, who was a fantastic antagonist. These Planet of the Apes movies always have really good antagonists in them. Really good antagonists. And same thing here. He was absolutely fantastic. Had a blast watching this. The one thing I hope, and the one thing if I could speak to the creators of the Planet of the Apes, I would tell them to keep the focus on the ape characters. The ape characters are 100 times more interesting than the human characters. I don't care about the human characters. Keep the focus on the ape characters. There's this Proxima Caesar. I hope he's not dead. I know he's probably dead, or maybe not. They'll probably gauge the audience reaction to Proxima Caesar coming back, and probably they'll notice that they should bring him back because he was a very popular character. But I do hope that they bring him back. I want to see more out of him, and I want to see him even crazier, right? And shouting out, "What a wonderful day!" That was peak Planet of the Apes for me. I gave this a 4 out of 5. Some pacing issues here and there, but overall a very, very good time. Great world building as well. Really good world building happening in this. So that's my short review for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. And with that, Franco, I think we can move on now into the agenda we had for the week. And to start off, we have our first trailer of the day. And the trailer is for Dune Prophecy. Now, I've been hearing a lot about this Dune Prophecy, and I had an idea of what it would look like. Franco, you also got to watch the trailer for Dune Prophecy. I've got some information here for our viewers and listeners. The first trailer for the much anticipated TV prequel to the recent Dune movies promises a female-fronted look at life 10,000 years before. Dune Prophecy will follow the roots of Bene Gesserit sisterhood led by the Harkonnen siblings, played by Emily Watson and Olivia Williams. Later members of the sect are played by Rebecca Ferguson and Charlotte Rampling, obviously on the big screen. Now, This is where I start to worry. Because it is inspired by the novel Sisterhood of Dune, written by Kevin J. Anderson and Brian Herbert, the elder son
The
of
son
Frank
of
Herbert, who
Frank
wrote the
Herbert.
original Dune novels. Now, why that worries me, I haven't read the Brian Herbert books, but from anyone who's read them, all I've heard is it's shit. It's really bad. Really, really bad. Here are some words from Denis Villeneuve, who was going to direct the first episode, apparently, the premiere, but had to drop out. Villeneuve said, "The Bene Gesserit have always been fascinating to me. Focusing a series around that powerful order of women seemed not only relevant and inspiring, but a dynamic setting for the television series. Cast also includes Mark Strong, Jodie May, and Jessica Barden." And as I said, Villeneuve was originally set to direct the pilot, but later dropped out. Anna Forster will be directing instead, and she's known for Outlander, her work on Outlander, and Underworld Blood Wars. Franco, you got to watch the trailer for Dune Prophecy. What are your thoughts? Oh no, and we've lost Franco again. Oh no, Franco with a lot of internet issues today. So let me give my thoughts on it. So going through the trailer, I got the feeling that this was a little bit of Denis Villeneuve light. So I could tell that the what they're trying to do here is they're trying to copy Denis Villeneuve's style in Dune, but it's not as interesting and it's not as well shot and it's not as well made, unfortunately. That's my first impressions from the trailer. Now, the world itself of Dune is fascinating. Franco, are you back? No, he's not. Oh, yes, he is.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully. So I was talking about the
Yeah, I'm
trailer,
here.
Franco, and I was saying that it feels a little like Denis Villeneuve light. It feels like someone watched Villeneuve's movies and tried to make a series out following his style. Do you agree with that?
Well, I'm. Yeah, even when I watched the, when I tell you it doesn't look like TV, and this has that kind of like that luster of TV. No, it doesn't have that crunchy contrast. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the setting looks amazing though. I mean, and it I don't know. It feels like it doesn't have the visuals. Yes, you're right. You're like it's Denis Villeneuve light, but behind it. I don't know how to explain it. You know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's that's gonna be a
Hello,
problem. It's gonna be.
Andrea is now out. Hello, guys. I think there's a bit of an issue with the recordings. I'm So it's just me for the time being. Hopefully, Andrea will come back. I put out my camera, so bear with me a second. Let's see if I can put my camera back in. Yeah, I think either there's Joseph Muscat is being taken to court, so that's why they're making the internet a bit impossible. Hi,
All
Andrea.
right. Oh man, today what a disaster with the internet.
Apologies, guys. I think we're speaking. I think the Bene Gesserit heard us speaking shit about them. That's why.
Okay, we should be back. We should be back now.
Yes, yes, we're back.
Ah, but
Um,
today,
and
technical issues galore. Haven't had these technical issues in a really long time. I have a feeling it's not the problem is not on our end. I think I have a feeling it's with Riverside.
Riverside could be.
Because I don't know, my internet has not stopped working. The YouTube has not stopped working here.
No, at all, at all. And I think Riverside got jealous as well.
Yeah,
Or
probably.
like I said, Joseph Muscat is being taken to court, so they don't want us to know the news. No, no.
Anyways, Franco, to conclude our discussion here. So it does feel like Denis Villeneuve light, right? To be fair, the
Yeah,
cast is interesting. There's a good
the
cast
cast is
here.
interesting, but you see this shot, for example, this doesn't have the contrast, the shadows that you see in a cinema. You know what I mean? There's that. It's a very TV look. Why go for a TV look? You know, I mean, make it look cinematic. There are some cinematic shots, though. It's like I'm seeing another still, because the YouTube is on a delay, or even like these kind of shots. They're interesting, but I was saying that it lacks the weight that Villeneuve gives it
Yeah,
somehow.
yeah. Villeneuve gives it a lived-in kind of feel.
Yes,
You
yes.
never feel like these are like you're looking at sets. I get the feeling that many of these are sets. They don't feel lived in. But of course, Villeneuve works with a 200, with at least 150, 200 million budget. So, I mean, that helps as well, right? when creating
For
these
sure.
kind of visuals. So that definitely helps. I will probably watch this. I'll still probably watch this because it's Dune, and so far I haven't been disappointed with Dune, with the modern iterations of Dune. Let me rephrase that. I'll probably still check it out, but hopefully we can get a better trailer for Dune
Same,
Prophecy.
same here, and I hope I'll be wrong. I mean, I'd rather withhold my judgment about it as well. Maybe it will surprise us as well.
Moving on to our next trailer, and this time we have a second trailer for House of the Dragon. Season 2, HBO has dropped an electrifying new trailer for the highly anticipated second season of House of the Dragon, and it's shaping up to be yet another smash hit. Massively popular fantasy series set in the world of George R.R. Martin's A Song of Ice and Fire novels promises even more drama, intrigue, and breathtaking dragon battles in its upcoming season. The trailer features a montage of epic scenes showcasing the sprawling landscapes of Westeros and the majestic dragon soaring through the skies. As the haunting soundtrack swells, viewers are treated to glimpses of their favorite characters, including, obviously, the Targaryen duo Rhaenyra and Daemon, played by Emma Darcy and Matt Smith, respectively. So, here are some shots from the season 2 trailer. Franco, you haven't watched House of the Dragon season 1, so I don't think you have much to say
I'm
about this.
I'm totally now I'm disassociating right now. I was like, what are we talking about? Sorry.
So, obviously, I did watch season 1 of House of the Dragon, and I absolutely loved it. There's no trailer on this website. Let me bring up the trailer really quickly.
Wait, which one did you? Okay, okay. So I said right. You were waxing lyrical about House of the Dragon.
Yes,
While
I loved House of the Dragon season 1.
while
I know
while
Joe
Joe
wasn't
was
the biggest fan.
Joe
Uh,
was liking Rings of Power more, right?
I don't think he like Rings of Power more. We have to confirm that. But
You were clashing. I know that you were clashing for sure.
yes, I definitely remember us not agreeing. I know he didn't love Rings of Power either. I don't know if he liked it more than House of the Dragon, to be honest. But I remember both him and I'm not sure if it was it Francesca who didn't really like House of the Dragon either, or Cassandra. No, Cassandra I think didn't really like
Cassandra, I think.
House
Yeah.
of the Dragon season 1 either. But I loved it. I thought it was fantastic, great writing. Performances were out of this world. Patty Considine, unfortunately, won't be back for season 2 for obvious reasons, but he was great in season 1. I also have to say that, I mean, the visuals, the setting is insane, so beautifully shot. Some great, I mean, most of it is shot on location, and you can tell. I thought the visual effects for the dragons were hit and miss. The dragons themselves look fine when you can see them from far away. The biggest issue I always had with the dragons was the floating, and I think it's going to be the same issue with season 2 as well, because there was one scene when we can see the actor, one of the actors, on a dragon, and the actor feels very floaty. See that? It really feels floaty. It does not feel like that character is really holding onto a dragon. And it's very, I mean, I understand it's very hard to do. Same issue, obviously, with Dune Part 2, but I think Dune Part 2 did it amazingly with the worm ride. Um, Overall, I'm super hyped for this. I think where we left off at the end of season one, with obviously Rhaenyra's son being killed, was a perfect ending, perfect cliffhanger, and I'm excited to see Rhaenyra go all batshit crazy Targaryen on her opposition, which I think is going to be a great watch. I think the production value has been upped even further from season one, and season one some great production design. I think there are going to be some massive battles as well, which again I'm very excited for. Lots of dragon battles as well. Um, to talk about dragon battles, and I'll conclude with this. I thought the dragon battle in at the end of season one, in the final episode, was fantastic. It was done at night, similar to this. Lots of rain, and it felt, and because of obviously the fact that it was dark, the VFX artists had more leeway to work with the dragons, and I thought they brought in some horror elements in there, which were fantastic, fucking great, really good stuff. And I hope they do that even further in season two, because I think that the dragon battle at the end of season one was one of the best moments of season one. But of course, I hope to get lots more, and I know we will get lots more backstabbing, political intrigue, romance. Oh God, I'm just remembering about a particular character who had a foot fetish. Oh God.
Romance,
No.
Vikings,
Oh, no.
sorry.
We're going to see the
Sorry.
Starks as well. We're going to go back to Winterfell again in season two, so it'll be interesting to see that as well. So that's what the world of Game of Thrones has always been about, right? Different settings, different cultures, and attempting to somehow join up all those storylines together into one.
This is a prequel, right? As well.
This is a prequel. This is a prequel exactly for
Rings of
for
Power-
Game of Thrones.
Rings of Power follows or just
Okay, so let me use that as a segue. Because Rings of Power is a complete mess, right? Rings of Power has no idea when it's happening. Rings of Power is way before Lord of the Rings. But let me use that as a good segue to Rings of Power, because
one of the ages. No, there was. Am I
the second
mistaken?
age. It's the second age.
The second age. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, so let's get into Rings of Power. Franco, you did not watch season one of Rings of Power, right?
Again, I'm disassociating right now.
Okay, so let's get into it.
But to tell you the truth, my brother he said he didn't mind it, like he enjoyed watching it. Again,
Okay.
I really wasn't like, it's not my cup of tea, unfortunately. Mind you, I like the original Lord of the Rings, and then like The Hobbit and Rings of Power for me, like, what are these? Are these like? Am I in a Mandela universe, in a Mandela effect universe?
I think the Lord of the Rings, the 2001, 2, and 3 Lord of the Rings are some of the best movies ever made, honestly. Like looking at them today, watching the visual effects on that, man, Weta really outdid themselves in that. Like looking at the design for the different monsters and different characters in it, the set design, the way they used miniatures for Minas Tirith, the Helm's Deep. Oh, so many epic moments, the epic monologues and speeches, the soundtrack, the score for Lord of the Rings, some of the most beautifully shot scenes I've ever seen in my life. I remember reading about one of the actors. I forgot who the actor was, but there was a particular scene at night, and there was one particular very bright light. Now, looking at the effect during the scene, this was in the first one, in the Fellowship of the Ring, and the actor was like, "But where is this light coming from? Where is this light coming from? It's not realistic." That's what he told the director, and Peter Jackson was like, "Yes, but where is the music coming from? Whilst people are watching the movie, where is the score coming from? It doesn't matter." He was like, "What matters is that it looks great and that it feels great." And I'm so glad, because watching it now, the scene with the Nazgul, where the Nazgul are hunting for the hobbits. There's one particular scene where the Nazgul, the horse kind of rears up, and there's this really beautiful lighting coming from behind, creating a really beautiful contrast of dark and light. And I'm so glad they kept it there, because that scene is, I mean, all of Lord of the Rings, right, is amazing. There are some small moments here and there, which
The,
I'm not biggest fan of.
the Hobbit. Gandalf!
Gandalf. But yeah, but I mean,
Pippin!
that's up there, right? And the Rings of Power is. So let's get into it. Season 2. We just got a quick but action-packed look at Prime Video's The Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power Season 2, as well as a release date. Thursday, August 29. Oh no, 2024 gonna ruin the end of my summer. It's not too much of a surprise to see that the trailer focuses on the looming threat that is J.R.R. Tolkien's legendary villain Sauron, as he casts a shadow over Middle-earth's second age. The trailer opens up on his face as we hear the booming voice of Durin IV, Owain Arthur, who warns an evil, ancient, and powerful has returned. Prime Video reiterated previous comments in its press release today that Rings of Power has been a massive success for the Amazon streaming platform, being viewed by more than 100 million people worldwide as one of its top original series. We learned back in March that early work was already being done on Season 3, as showrunners Patrick McKay and J.D. Payne signed a new 3-year deal with Amazon. Now, let's get into the actual trailer. So, here is the trailer for The Rings of Power. Now, there's some stuff I want to focus on. I took down some notes as I was watching it. First things first, what the fuck is Venom doing in The Rings of Power?
Venom.
We've got Venom here, little Venom here, the symbiote.
There's
making its
also
first
Cthulhu,
appearance.
there's Cthulhu as well, apparently.
Cthulhu as well. No, but to be honest with you, Franco, I'm joking here, but it does feel. This is one of the big issues I have with Rings of Power. It does feel very inspired by Marvel, like watching the next scene, for example.
And Joe said that's just like this is going Star Wars. That seems like a way, guys.
Like if you look at this scene, Franco, this is the Avengers panning scene. Here are the Avengers. Let's fight.
Star Wars. Yeah, exactly.
It's the Avengers, the bloody Avengers panning scene, where you see all the Avengers heroes. This is not Lord of the Rings. I'm sorry, this is not Middle Earth.
Oh, it's Marvelized a lot.
It's very Marvelized, and this gets me really frustrated. And once I started the trailer, I'm already not on board, right? I'm not on board on this. I'm sorry, but moving on. So some other interesting stuff to look at is probably we will see the Balrog. I have no idea what this is, but probably we'll be seeing the Balrog in Season 2. And I think this is probably, that might be Sauron.
That's Sauron,
sure. But we do get a look at destruction happening. Here we go. This is probably will be the scene where the Balrog destroys the dwarves. Oh my lord. Moria for the dwarves. That's probably the scene where we see the Balrog destroying Moria for the dwarves.
Ashley, if he's watching, well, he was ready to take away your geek card if you didn't know.
Oh no.
Moria.
What else? Oh, one thing that I like, and one thing that I have been very much looking forward to is the rune stuff. Now, we know that the stranger, who is, Gandalf, but they can't use Gandalf's name because Gandalf is Third Age, and that's owned by Warner Brothers, so Amazon had to use a different name. So we have the stranger now. It's not Gandalf, it's the stranger. But it's Gandalf. But it's not really Gandalf, it's the stranger, so we don't get into court. Don't get sent to court by Warner Brothers. So we have the stranger and Nori going to Rune, which I think is very fascinating. I hope they do not ruin that. This, I'm sorry, but this is so. Franco, I don't know how you are with the lore of Middle Earth, but Sauron was a master at disguising himself, right?
Okay.
So what does the master of disguise do? He puts on a blonde wig. That's what the master of disguise does. That's it. That's pretty much it.
It's like Superman wearing glasses, and it's like, where's Superman?
Like, wait,
and then he removes the glasses.
Where'd he go?
Exactly.
It's like the Skyrim guards. Must have been the wind. Like you shoot him with an arrow, boom, take out half his health. turns around, doesn't see anyone, must have been the wind.
In the wind.
I mean, this is ridiculous, right? And I can see obviously he's going for the elven features here with the elven ears, pointed ears, and so on. So I'm joking about this, obviously, but still, this is very, very upsetting. I don't know why they kept the same actor here, but when you can just cast a different actor, and I mean, solve it that way, because Sauron takes many different faces, many different appearances to as disguise, to continue entering into elven society, to corrupt Celebrimbor and then the ring making and the rings, of course. But put on a wig, put some prosthetic ears, and that's it. Come on. I mean, this is ridiculous. With all that money, and obviously here, oh God, we've got Barad-dûr. They're going to ruin Barad-dûr as well. We know we're going to ruin Barad-dûr. Oh God! I'm not looking forward to this.
To be fair, I think from the trailer of the first one to the trailer of the second season, I feel like the world is even there's much more detail. The CGI looks much cleaner. Again, the story, as far as story goes, okay, I'm not interested. I'm sorry.
Oh no!
But
we got more Galadriel riding.
Listeners, Andrea should tell us about what they think about the House of the Dragon, Dune Prophecy, the Rings of Power. Battle it out in the comments if you are the Rings of Power stans or House of the Dragon stans.
I'd love to hear from someone who really likes not House of the Dragon, Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power. I'd love to hear from someone who enjoyed Rings of Power. I wish I could bring on someone onto the podcast right now, someone who really likes the Rings of Power, because I'd love to have that debate and to see why they like it, because I want to know. I know there are quite a few people who like it. Don't get me wrong, Olivia. I know there are a lot of people who like this. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It feels cheap for such an expensive show. For me, this does not look good. Visually, there's nothing special about the visuals. The VFX, yes, the VFX are good.
No, they improved because even the first one was like, but seeing the trailer again, even though it doesn't interest me, it feels like there is an improvement.
Yes, but Franco, when we talk about visuals, we don't just talk about VFX, the lighting, the set pieces. This is fine. That shot. I like this shot. I like that shot, the horse riding, but. The word you used before, Franco, the contrast. There is a lack of contrast. There is a real lack of contrast. The indoor scenes, especially. I mean, look at this. It looks bland. It all looks bland. It looks Netflixy.
Lots of teal and orange, huh?
Yeah. And then it just doesn't feel like Middle Earth for me. That's my big issue with it. That's my one big issue. It doesn't feel like the Lord of the Rings. It feels like
this is
generic fantasy.
I think even Joe said with this one, this feels like there's Star Wars in it.
Very much so. Which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. By the way, the fans have not been enjoying this trailer for Rings of Power with 74k likes and 370k dislikes.
Damn.
Which
wait, we were criticizing storytelling and craft. Some of these likes are the usual. Lord of the Rings went woke. They have a black character. Dude, that's not the fucking point. Jesus Christ.
And I'd love to use that. Yeah, Franco.
If anything, corporations are ruining wokeness. And you're gonna mention it with Yasuke and whatnot. Like, dude, it's a fantasy character. Shut the fuck up. You don't know what character they were.
And I think, Franco, that's a very good segue to transition into our next topic for the day. And we'll be talking about some gaming stuff here. But I think even if you're not a fan of video games, you're going to find this interesting, especially if you like history, because we're talking about a historical game, knowing how Assassin's Creed has always been extremely historically accurate. For example, having a fist fight with the Pope. For example, fighting the different Egyptian mythological creatures and ancient Greek mythological creatures. We all know how the fight with the Medusa actually happened. We know that Assassin's Creed needs to stick to historical accuracy.
Ezio Auditore.
Or at least that's what some people on Twitter have been saying. Now, I'm going to be honest, there is some stuff which I disagree with on this. And we'll get into that in a little bit. But to get into the argument, the next entry in the Assassin's Creed franchise is almost here. Ubisoft debuted the first trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows, which launches later this year. The trailer is decently meaty for a world premiere, taking its time to introduce the game's two protagonists. One is the samurai Yasuke, an African man who became a retainer in service to Japanese warlord Oda Nobunaga. Second protagonist is Naoe, a shinobi character whose opposition to Nobunaga's war initially pits her against Yasuke. It was rumored that Shadows would feature two main characters similar to Assassin's Creed Syndicate. Before the official trailer revealed key art from the game leaked showing of the samurai shinobi protagonists. Franco, you've had a look at this trailer. You've heard about the controversy. What's your take on it all?
I haven't been playing the Assassin's Creed since Assassin's Creed 2. I forgot if I played Assassin's Creed 3, so I've been out of the loop for quite some time. I mean, the trailer looks great. Ubisoft are known to have great cutscenes, but bad graphics when it comes to games then as well.
It's the graphics are fine, Franco. It's not the graphics, it's the gameplay that's the issue.
Is it going to also be like live? What is it now? The
Live
recent-
service. Yeah, just to give you an idea of the live service
Fucking
stuff that's going to
Christ.
be in it. So, Franco, if you want to get the full game experience, you need to pay 130 euros
Yeah.
for this.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. You know what happened? You know, some of the indie games like Hades 2 are getting better reviews than the supposedly AAA for the 4A games. I mean, guys, just get off your high horse.
Yep.
Like, what was it? Baldur's Gate? Oh, you're making it. Remember that time when they said, "Oh, you're making it difficult for us to make good games"? No, your games are shit. Full stop. And Baldur's Gate was a proper AAA game.
Yes.
This
100%.
insistence of live service, like some people, I saw a meme recently where they were like, they brushed off an old game, old single player games. This is what I like, you know. It's not, again, nothing wrong to work multiplayer, but live service and having servers crash immediately as you log on.
Let me give you the
It's-
details,
it's-
Franco, of it all. So, this is usual Ubisoft practice, by the way, because Assassin's Creed Shadows players won't have access to all of the game's day one missions due to Ubisoft locking one behind the season pass and another behind a pre-order bonus. So, as a standard for the publisher, Shadows will launch in a handful of different versions. We've got the standard edition at $69.99, Gold edition at $109.99, Ultimate edition at $129.99, and holy shit, and the collector's edition at $279.99. But only those who pre-order the Gold edition or higher get access to both additional missions on launch day.
Andrea, and even Joe, by the way, don't tell me that keeping workers in companies is becoming a cost effective measure. With those prices, they're laying off people because they're not paying them.
The problem,
for-
Franco, is these games are too expensive. They're spending way too much on these games.
What are they spending them on? Because
No,
now
they are.
Ubisoft,
Trust me, Franco. These games,
What?
they're
No,
enormous.
no,
They're
I'm
massive.
sorry.
They need to create games which
What
will be
are-
played for hundreds and hundreds of hours, not for 20 hours like it used to be in the past.
Totally disagree, Andrea. Because if they're really spending the money, why do the servers log you out in on the first day, or you cannot log in whatsoever? One, where is the money going to? If there's no, sorry, there's I don't know what's this. I don't. Maybe it's my MacBook. One, where is the money going to? Three, if it really costs that much, why are you laying off developers?
Because it costs way too much. So to make a profit.
But they are the backbone. But they are the backbone of
Yes,
making
yes,
a
Franco.
proper
I agree
game.
with you. I agree with you, Franco. The issue is these games cost way too much. And that's a reality which is being expressed by every developer on Twitter. That these companies are spending way too much on these games. And to make a profit out of them, number one, they have to increase the prices. Number two, they have to add these shitty season passes. And number three, they're laying off workers.
But you're not getting bang on your back. Sorry, ta' pero laqqas. It's a really ruinous model.
I mean, this trailer, for example, Franco, we watched this trailer. It's a 3-minute, 49-second trailer. It's a great trailer. I mean, I
Yeah,
don't
of
think
course
anyone
it
will
looks
say
great.
this isn't a great looking. I mean, look at this. Oh my God. This kind of trailer, I don't want to know how much this trailer cost. This trailer will cost millions. Millions and millions to make this trailer.
But
I mean, just
I
for
think
this
there's
shot
lots.
alone, just for that shot alone with the flames to give it a realistic effect to the sea, that is days and days of work to create that. This trailer, I would say, this costs close to a small budget, like a mid-budget film, I would say, to make this 3-minute 49-second trailer.
Yeah, but we like we were. This is the same thing that we were discussing about Godzilla -1. You know,
Look
it's
at that
like,
hair, Franco. I mean, look at how realistically the hair moves when he puts up the hood, when she puts up the
Yes,
hood.
but the crux of the matter is the gameplay, because what we're seeing here is just a cutscene.
Yes,
like I told you,
100%. But
cutscenes look
Franco,
great.
you know what happened after this trailer came out? Assassin's Creed Shadows is the third highest selling game on Amazon right now.
Then I'm
So
sorry.
this
then,
works.
Then either people
Third
are
or fourth, I'm
dumb,
not
or
sure about
or
that.
I don't know. I mean, or the numbers are lying. There's because much of it is
No.
fluff.
Amazon. Why would I mean Amazon? So I think it works. It works in a sense that it'll sell. Will it sell enough to make up the massive? I don't want to know what the budget for this game is. Like, the budget for this is going to be incredible.
How much was the budget for Ghost of Tsushima, for example? Because that was a great
interesting.
game, no live service.
Ghosts of Tsushima budget. It's an interesting question.
Because
It's a huge
because
success
all
compared to its cost. Cost 60 million. Sold more than 7.5 million copies and achieved revenues estimated at 397 million. So
more than broke
Ghost of
even.
Tsushima cost 60 million. That's a very good.
More
That's a
than-
very good amount to spend.
That's a great amount, and they made far and beyond the breaking even. Because I'm sorry, this whole controversy of a black samurai overshadows. Sorry, pun not intended.
Listen to this, because I looked up Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Not concretely stated, but Odyssey was reportedly around 500 million. Ah! But to be fair, Franco, they broke even. At least they did break even because they made around 1 billion.
No, but what is it with Ghost of Tsushima that Assassin's Creed Odyssey doesn't have? That's the thing. I mean, because if that and God of War, check God of War as well. And I was going to make a point about this whole hubbub of having a black samurai.
As I will get into that, Franco, because this is an interesting discussion as well, which I don't think lots of people are talking about.
No, but it's not. I'm sorry. That's a really not to undermine what you're saying, but it's not an interesting. It's a distraction, not a discussion. I'm sorry, because if you're still paying the money, and you're still saying that Amazon has recorded it as the fourth best-selling game. That's not an issue whatsoever. Then having a black samurai or
Yes,
doesn't matter
exactly. That's what I was saying, Franco. So the whole issue, which we'll get into it in a second, about the Black Samurai, Asuka being the Black Samurai, I think is a massive distraction. And I agree with Asmongold on that. Well, we'll get into that a little bit, because you asked me about budgets. So here are some interesting budgets, Franco. Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim cost around 100 million. But that was released in 2011. That's a 100 million budget. And obviously that game made profits.
and still being played today, bro.
Now,
That's another thing.
Cyberpunk had a massive budget as well, roughly around 316 million budget, which I will say it looks expensive. Now, listen to this. This blows my mind. Now, reportedly, Red Dead Redemption 2 had a budget of around 80 to 100 million. Now, if that game can be made on 80 to 100 million, I don't think any other game should cost more than 80 to 100 million, because the detail and the insane graphical fidelity that there is in Red Dead Redemption 2, you will not see in any other game.
my point exactly. Something is inflating these prices.
Ħabeġ. Witcher 3, the budget was 81 million. You know how beautiful Witcher 3 is.
Exactly, exactly. So if that is the sort of, so to speak, the cap of making a proper fucking amazing looking game, then something if this is costing like 500 million, like Jesus Christ, someone is lining their someone are lining their pockets more than ever, and then you have to blame, oh, I have to make a profit, oh, bye bye workers. Well, yeah. And also having, because even cyberpunk for 100 million game, and then it launches and loads of bugs.
Yeah. Now, to be fair with Cyberpunk, they fixed most of the issues there. They did
Yes,
fix
but
most of
but
the issues.
but did Red Dead Redemption 2 have bugs on launch?
Oh, it had some bugs, but
It had some bugs, but not to the
super polished game.
exactly not to the amount that Cyberpunk had. I mean, if you're paying like $100, you'd expect a proper finished product. But this is this is on every level of products as well. There's a word called the enshittification of everything, not just gaming, even social media, for example.
Issa, Franco, just to mention it, because I mean, obviously we have to mention it. It's the elephant in the
Yeah.
room. The whole Yasuke issue. Now, I am going to be honest with you. The first time I watched this trailer, I had a bit of a sigh and a bit of an eye roll. I had no idea who Yasuke was. I did not know he was a real person who actually existed. So my first reaction was an eye roll and a sigh. I was like, Jesus. Set in Japan, and we're going with this. Oh, I mean, come on. I did some research and I informed myself, and I learned quite a lot. I went straight to the sources. I went straight to the historians, the experts of this, and this is what I got out of it. Now, obviously, this game is set in the Azuchi Momoyama period of Japanese history, and it will be set around 1579 and continue into the 1580s. Now, this was a very, very difficult period of Japanese history. Lots of wars, lots of fighting. Now, not the main character, but the most important person in this period of time was Oda Nobunaga, who was also the person for whom our protagonist went to, right? Our protagonist went to. He basically, Nobunaga bought Yasuke when he saw him fight. Now, Oda Nobunaga was known as the Great Unifier of Japan, and he was attempting basically to unify Japan. This he did not manage to. He was betrayed by one of his previously most loyal generals, and he was surrounded by an army of 13,000 soldiers, 13,000 samurai, and he only had 30. And obviously committed seppuku. Everyone, I mean, at least if you're familiar with the spirit of Japanese history, you'll know this. Now, where does Yasuke come into all of this? So Yasuke came to Japan with the Jesuits. Apparently, he was extremely tall compared to Japanese people. He was 188 centimeters tall, which means even taller than me, 2 centimeters taller than me. And compared to people in the 16th century, in 16th century Japan, he was enormous. He was not only very tall, but also very muscular. So for the Japanese, he was like, holy shit, this guy is massive. Not only that, but he was also black. Now, the first time Nobunaga saw Yasuke, he saw him fighting, he saw him wrestling. And Nobunaga was impressed by Yasuke's skill in the wrestling. And he went up to him and told him how impressed he was, that he's an amazing fighter. And he told his people to try and wash Yasuke's skin. They thought it was dirt, because he had never seen a black person. And eventually, obviously, he was shocked to find out that this guy had a different skin color to everyone else he had ever met. Anyways, long story short, Yasuke would quickly rise in rankings. Apparently, Nobunaga was very fond of him. Was very fond of how he was apparently Yasuke was a very interesting person to talk to. He became his sword bearer, and the sword bearer was a very important role in for a Japanese warlord back then. Now, a lot of people, the discussion has been, obviously, some people have said Yasuke did not exist. That is rubbish. He existed. All the historical documents point to that. Then the goalposts were moved to, is Yasuke a real samurai or not? Now, that is not 100% certain. As is an issue with this period in Japanese history, the issue is that society changed a lot in this period of Japanese history. Now, in this period of Japanese history, the word samurai actually was not really used. So you will not find a document which will state outright Yasuke was a samurai. Yasuke was definitely what was known as a bushi. Now, important to mention this, that during this period, the traditional master-servant relationship in Japanese society collapsed. I'm reading this part because I looked it up to confirm it. And the traditional definition of samurai changed dramatically, becoming synonymous with bushi. So, was Yasuke a samurai? No, we're not certain. He had a stipend. He was given a sword. He had a fiefdom. He, for all intents and purposes, was 99.9% a samurai. Now, the issue with a lot of people is that their impression of a samurai is a samurai coming from the 18th century and 19th century. The samurai, the nobleman samurai, which was not the case in this period of time in Japanese history, because obviously society changes, especially in this period, which was, very unstable period of Japanese history. A samurai in this period of time was basically someone who bore arms for his lord. And another argument, and I'll conclude with this. Wait till you find out what the word samurai means. Because I've seen a lot of people saying that Yasuke was a servant. But what do these people think the word samurai means? The word samurai means to serve. To serve your lord. So by saying he was a servant, they're saying, yes, he was a samurai, indirectly. No, jokes aside. So using the word servant back then is not how we use it today. Everyone was a servant to their lord back then. Everyone, feudal, even if you were a samurai. Because
it was a feudal...
It was a feudal system, feudal Japan, right? That's the period we're talking about. And I think the whole misconception comes again, and I'll conclude with this, like I said, from the idea that the samurai is this glorious lord with riches and massive land. That's not the case in 16th century Japan.
Samurai, basically.
The Tom Cruise samurai, exactly. That's it. That's exactly it. This was not the case back then. So, was he a samurai? No one can say for certain, not even the greatest historians can say that for certain, but 99% yes. He was a samurai. And that's why it's important to do your research in this stuff if you're going to talk about it. And that is all I had to say about this issue. Franco, I don't know if you want to add something.
No, there was a anime cartoon, actually, more than anime, with Yasuke being voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, called Black Samurai.
Yes, I've heard about it. I heard talk about it. Apparently, Yasuke is very popular in Japanese manga as well, making lots of appearances in Japanese manga. It's interesting to see. I think the Japanese are even more welcoming of Yasuke than American writing.
Bear with me a second. I have to put my MacBook on charge.
No worries, Franco. I'm going to move on to the next topic, Philcas. I'll move on to Megalopolis, which I think is the one we've been most looking forward to talk about, to be honest, today. So let's get into Megalopolis. So Megalopolis, viewers and listeners will know that right now there is Cannes going on, and viewers at Cannes had the first look at Megalopolis. Now, in the words of Francis Ford Coppola, our new film Megalopolis is the best work I've ever had the privilege to preside over. And that is the words of Francis Ford Coppola. The picture, which has premiered in competition on Thursday at the Cannes Film Festival, has been a project many years in the making for the director. He first began work on the screenplay in the 1980s. This is a real passion project. Legendary filmmaker has invested $120 million of his own money into the film, reportedly selling wine estates and selling villas and
He sold
whatnot.
all his wine estates basically.
Yeah. Now, this is the official synopsis. And then we'll get into the discussion about the movie itself. Megalopolis is a Roman epic fable set in an imagined modern America. The city of New Rome must change, causing conflict between Caesar Catalina, who is Adam Driver, a genius artist who seeks to leap into a utopian idealistic future, and his opposition, Mayor Franklin Cicero, Giancarlo Esposito. I hope Giancarlo Esposito is not being typecast in this film as well, who remains committed to a regressive status quo, perpetuating greed, special interests, and partisan warfare. Torn between them is socialite Julia Cicero, who is Natalie Emanuel, talking about Game of Thrones, the mayor's daughter, whose love for Caesar, Cesar, not Caesar, has divided her loyalties, forcing her to discover what she truly believes humanity deserves. Now, that synopsis confuses me even more than it tells me about the film. But, Franco, first of all, you've watched the trailer. Let's discuss the trailer
Yes.
first. What do you think about the trailer for Megalopolis?
Look,
Are you interested in watching this? Visuals, what do you
Yes,
think about it?
yes, I mean, enough to see like these comets. Um, uh, I think it's going to be visually is going to be stunning. Like what we've already been saying, this is going to be 2024's Babylon. You either like it or you hate it. I feel like I'm going to be on the side of liking it, even though knowing well enough that it's going to be bloated. But like for example, this scene with the statues, oh my
So,
god.
the lighting, the shadows, the
It,
rain, man, the brain brings so much drama to it all.
look, I'll go and say that this is something you're rarely going to see. Like someone like really putting the stakes high up. It's a passion project. We rarely see this. I'd rather watch this than go watch some modern web drivel. Okay. Plus, apparently, this is based on a it's based on a book by an anarchist, by the way, as well.
Ooh, okay.
They like three of his inspirations were these three books by a philosopher called David Graeber, who died quite recently, apparently. And also like there's also like Cicero, even the names a Roman. I forgot which it was. I don't know if it was the Odyssey or something else, but I know something Roman for sure. I mean, even much of it looks Roman as well.
Mm-hmm. Wait,
Um,
what the?
yeah, it's and apparently in one of the scenes, a guy comes, a guy, like a real live guy walks onto the stage while the movie is playing and talks to Adam Driver.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Uh,
okay.
I mean, he's going for it, right? He's going for it, full
No,
throttle.
he's swinging hard.
Yeah,
And the scope is there. The scope is there. I think it's a
definitely.
very personal vision.
Oh, yes. These kinds of
Uh,
scenes turn me on so bad. Oh, so good. Yeah, it looks great. I mean, this trailer blew me away. But then, Franco, we got some of the first reactions. And to say the first reactions were mixed would be putting it lightly.
it's an understatement, yeah.
Now I have, now in The Wire did a very good job at collecting like a large amount of tweets. Some positive, some so-so, some extremely negative. Now this is the first tweet we have here by Joshua Rotkopf. I thrilled to Megalopolis in all its overstuffed, crazy ambition. Only an uncharitable viewer would call it a catastrophe. It's definitely not boring. This definitely looks nothing but boring. That's the writer for the LA Times. Leonardo Goy. Oh, it's thrilling to watch a filmmaker operate on an impossibly ambitious scale and take all manner of risks. But I can't help but think Megalopolis, daring and bombastic as it is, fell somewhat short of its promise, a debate on our future and the medium zone. Now, this will be interesting. This could be the case where visually it will look stunning and bombastic, but will it really tackle this debate on our future in an interesting, in a different fashion to what has already been done so far?
As long as it's like Civil War, I'm happy. That's
Yes. I think this will be the opposite of civil war. I think this will take a stand and take a very strong stand from what I've
No,
heard from
no,
Coppola so
no.
far.
Apparently, it's going to take too many stands as opposed to Civil War, by the looks of it, you know.
Chaotic, psychedelic fever dream that makes the stories from set undoubtable. I love seeing directors run with an idea, but the result in this instance is a film so beyond comprehension that it cannot even begin to be unpacked.
Yeah.
This is making me love it even more, to be honest. If you thought this was gonna make me not want to watch this is making me want to watch it even more. You can tell I love following Matt Neckley on Letterboxd. You can tell thinks a lot about the Roman Empire because its influence is all over the mega failure mega failure. That is Megalopolis. Themes of time, history, legacy, civilization, technology, politics, the media, and economics are all touched upon this golden sun-baked. We'll open his Twitter. Sun-baked. Where were we? Upon his golden sun-baked grandiose piece of filmmaking, but with little to zero cohesion between them. Shia LaBeouf dresses in drag. A live interactive Q&A took place during our screening, first for me, and there was a smattering of unintentional laughs and boos throughout. Every member of this cast feels lost as they deliver some of the funniest line readings you'll likely hear all year. Some will appreciate its scale and ambition. I would have admired it more if any of it worked. But at least I'll never forget the incoherent, messy WTF experience of it all. I think, Franco, it's a mixture of people kind of accepting what the film is and accepting the whole bombastic element of it that you probably won't get it all. Mm-hmm. And some people who just couldn't get into that element of, maybe I'm not going to understand it all. I'll just sit here, enjoy the visuals, enjoy the performances, and enjoy the direction, and that's it. That's the impression I'm getting. I don't know about you, Franco.
No, same. And here, like I said, we were saying Babylon. Babylon was mentioned also by their critics as well. I think it's interesting. One of what was there was something about
Totally
even
nuts.
the even the ratings on Letterboxd looks like a megalopolis.
Yes. Now this is, and Joe agrees with me. This is one of the guys I'm also most follow on Letterboxd. I rarely agree with him, to be honest with you, because there are a lot of movies I love that he shits on. But there are also movies I've hated that he loves. So I rarely agree with him, which worries me a little bit. But he says that David Ehrlich says that Megalopolis. The silliness is a feature, not a bug. A garish, epic, and utterly singular 120 million self-portrait that's also a fable about the fall of ancient Rome and a plea to save our civilization and its cinema from itself. Big fan. First hour was a disaster, an endearing disaster, but still poor. Then the second hour hit. I totally bought it. Much doesn't work in Francis Ford Coppola's passion project, but its visual language is sharp, and that we can tell from the trailer. And there's one scene involving a mix that hits. Mix that hits? What could that be?
Maybe a mix of themes. I think we've read enough reviews now. It's like we just have to go in. I think we have to go in as blindly as possible, especially like what happened with Babylon, which I enjoyed. Great soundtrack. Pa-ra-pa-pa-pa. Remember that soundtrack? I'm confident that this will be this year's Babylon. Stand to be corrected. But I can't wait to watch this in cinemas for sure. I don't think I would
100%.
miss it for anything in the cinemas as well.
100%. 100%. So, Franco, I think it's time to get into some local stuff now.
Ooh.
And we need to talk about where are all the films. And this is an article by Mark Lawrence Amit and Emma Borch, who ask the question, where are all the films? Drought of foreign films has crews worried. Now, Franco, can you give a long story short of the article? What's the issue here?
Basically, I heard already from the grapevine from another filmmaker friend of mine that at least four movies, like big Hollywood productions, left Malta. They were first touted to be shot in Malta, but they left to other places. Some because of rebates, another again. This is not proven. I've only heard from one source, but one of these sources is quite reliable. They said that one of these films is Mission Impossible, And the reason Mission Impossible left the Malta was because the water tanks we have are not filtered, and they were not risking the cast of Mission Impossible to be in these water tanks and get something. So something of a magnanimous investment and then forget to something so essential is sort of like how could you possibly not see that from a mile away? That's one thing. And secondly, I mean, first it was this is another thing was first was yes back to back. It's not a question, and it's not a question of oh yes, everywhere is like this. Everywhere else have their own industry to fall onto. You know, it's the cushion. It's the cushion when this something like this hits, and we don't have the cushion in Malta. We are just treated as like, even though like speaking of which, I have to. I know it's a bit of a of a tangent, but I have to plug. I think has it passed that the April Fools showing on Eden
It's
Cinemas?
actually, yes. Oh, I haven't mentioned it. Oh, I wanted to mention it. I forgot. I should have written it down. If I don't
So
write something, I forget. It's going to be tomorrow, Franco.
it's
The
tomorrow
screening will be
exactly.
tomorrow at Eden. Please come. I'd love to see lots of people there as well, just like we had for Bruce's event, just like we had for Video Nasties. Love to see lots of people at Eden Cinemas watching all the different comedy shorts.
Unfortunately, I cannot be there because of work. But if you want to see good talent, not exactly polished, but still good talent and still lots of potential, go watch these challenges. Because right now, that's what we have. We have Mr. Starkey, we have Bruce Micalefeno that are sustaining local talent like this, and we have the passion, but the people in charge don't give a shit about us. All they see is just fluff and David Williams and Russell Crowe and Gigi D'Alessio. Because, for example, another thing that I saw, which really I don't understand, Screen Malta was a sponsor to the Gigi D'Alessio concerts. Like, what does one have to do with the other? And but this it's like in Maltese we say il giornata mill-bidu torik, like the day shows you from the beginning. And now, to be fair, for the sake of reporting this thing, Johan Grek then posted on Facebook. Johan Grek, unfortunately, is someone who some avoids any journalist or anything to that has about criticism to explain himself. And he said that, oh, look at this article about Variety, about all the opportunities that and how much foreign productions are looking at our island to come and film here. So who's lying? Who's lying, or who's being gaslit?
Mela,
I'm sorry. If
to be fair, here are his words, referring obviously to this whole issue. Um, Artiklu tajjeb mir rivista internazzjonali Variety jenfasizza l-rwol dejjem jikber ta' Malta bħala destinazzjoni ta' livell għoli għal produtturi tal-films. Jispikkaw l-inċentivi finanzjari, il-locations u l-crews. Riżultati msemmija fl-artiklu jirriflettu x-xogħol dedikat u l-kollaborazzjoni bejn il-gvern, is-settur privat u l-aktar importanti il-membri tal-crew. Ħidma tagħna flimkien hija kruċjali għas-suċċess tal-industrija għalkemm għad hemm sfidi aħna impenjati li nkomplu nsaħħu din l-industrija. L-infrastruttura tibqa' priorità biex inkomplu nsostnu t-tkabbir ta' din l-industrija. Aħna nibqgħu impenjati għal dan l-an u se nkomplu noffru inċentivi kompetittivi u nappoġġaw l-iżvilupp tal-industrija tal-films pajjiżna. So basically, he said a lot and he said nothing. Pretty much, right? It's politics.
yeah, Keith just said, yeah, but again, I'd rather believe people who are really working in the industry that most probably that article was paid, and sometimes Variety, the article Variety really speaks on behalf of the studios, and in fact, it happened a lot when there was these strikes. The many were taken, like much of the barely a few articles spoke like in put painted in good lights these strikes. So there's that. And I mean, we've already seen this. There was like the U.S. strikes really hit Malta bad. You know, it's like Gladiator was one of the main productions here in Malta.
I mean, Gaspar
Gladiator and those.
disagrees with you, Franco, because he said Joshua Cassar Gaspar, who is director and co-founder of Valletta Pictures, said that requests to film on the island have come in like crazy. It's an incredibly busy time. The next 2 years will be huge for us. The strikes didn't affect us because the independent productions kept going, and many of us in Malta service TV shows,
Yeah,
which
but
were also unaffected.
yes, but what were his shows? What were his shows?
Wait,
Do,
TV shows were
can you mention
affected.
his show?
TV
That's
shows were
one thing.
affected,
And
not only
secondly,
movies.
and secondly, and secondly, what shows did Joshua Cassar Gaspar did? What was he involved in? Because at
What
least
were
these
the
other guys
movies?
like Winston Support, they had Napoleon and Last Voyage of the Demeter. And even
So
the next guy, Oliver Malia, who has a better understanding of what needs to be done because he gets co-productions. He had Shame on Dry Land,
So obviously, at
which
Party referred to the tax rebate, which is what it is, right? We've discussed this a million times on the podcast. I don't 100% agree with it, but it's there, right? It's the main attraction. Obviously, it's the reason why many companies want to film here in Malta because of the 40% tax rebate, no questions asked. Some people choose Malta for the rebate before they even begin making creative decisions or wondering if the locations will work for their films. The high
uh,
demand to shoot in Malta is welcome, but also brings a series of new issues, such as a hike in prices and a shortage of crew. I don't think the issue right now is a shortage of crew. I think the issue is the opposite. The crew don't have work right now, right?
yeah,
People saying that it's been 6 months.
there's lots of crew, and unfortunately, exactly. That's unstable work patterns, and like how is they never. You see, and then Gaspar says he had never had trouble finding crew, even for large-scale projects. I'm sorry. It's not the infrastructure. So first, okay. So why the hell, if you're saying that there's a lack of infrastructure, why the hell do you even invite Hollywood productions to begin with? Why not start small and then grow? Which is such a this is all. It's for me again. For me, the problem is not crew members working on Hollywood productions. Well and good, they get the experience, and like I've always maintained, as long as even though I sound like a broken record, international productions pay better than local productions, and that is what's causing our local industry to implode. But then don't complain. Oh, because we don't have the infrastructure of Hollywood productions. There should have been there's no long-term plan. That's what you're telling me. Those words telling me you don't have any long-term plan. Because if Hollywood productions diminish and they find other places, where are the local film workers going to rest? What they're gonna do? Stay like this because we don't have the infrastructure of a local industry? Oh, way, yeah.
Yep. Despite
And
the issues
even
that
does
come
it's
inside the
it's it's
country.
it's it's, it's rebates. Article futures hope for as long as the rebate is there. No, your future is not hopeful if crew members refuse to work to begin with. And I'm sorry, I have to say, if crew members are not getting angry, they will keep putting you even more down. And I'm sorry, guys. It's now it's our responsibility. I cannot keep putting excuses. If you don't go and just like knock the door down of your hungry, I can say, listen, do fucking something because you promised us work. I'm sorry. Then we have to take the responsibility for fucking up our own industry. Harsh words, I know, but I'm sorry. It's now or never because
Yep.
we're fucking up our own future.
Yep. Agreed. Agreed. It's uh it's an awkward one in a way because I'm trying to look at this from the point of view of the film commissioner and what's most important to them, right? And for them, the most if if something like World, for example, comes to film here in Malta, that's a big deal. Let's be honest, it is a big deal. It's a massive
Yes,
deal for Malta. Lots of, and it's going to bring in more tourists.
but
I understand that, and I agree with that. And
yes,
I know
but
the economy in this country depends on tourism. I understand completely. Franco, you were
yeah,
going to add about this argument?
Yeah, but Andrea, filmmaking is not about industry. I'm sorry. It's about tourism. Sorry. It has to be part of it, not the whole scope. I'm
No,
not
not the
making a
whole
film to
scope,
get. Uh,
but that's where then what Mario said on this argument, that's where you need the private investors, and in Malta we don't have private investors
yeah, but if you how
apart
can you? I'm
from
sorry.
Pellicola
Yeah,
invest in local
I'm
stuff.
sorry, but first you sell me a product. I try to sell you a product which I really made out of passion, and then you tell me no, the foreign product is better. I'm sorry. I mean, first you don't care of the local product, and then you say, oh, because private investors are not interested. No fucking shit. Where's the interest? You don't even generate interest. Only one and two films here and there. I'd rather actually, if you want to kickstart the industry, I'd rather do a Roger Corman, where Roger Corman, which by the way he died last week, rest in peace, Roger Corman. But under Roger Corman, Sylvester Stallone went under him, Francis Ford Coppola went under him, Martin Scorsese went under him, and Roger Corman used to do B movies. And I think to start with, let the movies be shit, let the movies be subpar, but you get at least you get your muscles trained. You cannot just go and squat 100 kilos for sure. So you start slow. You start with shit, and it doesn't matter as long as you have fun making it. As long as the movie is fun, and be smart about it. Let's start with that. It's true that there's not enough writing, there's not enough that, but that was the reason. That was one of the reasons why Hollywood productions were coming here. Do you get the experience and you see how and why to make a film, not just how?
Yep.
I mean, it's pointless telling me there's no interest. There's no interest when there's nothing to be interested in. It's like you're telling me, oh, it's like telling me I want cake, but I'm an accountant. Why are you coming to me for cake when I'm an accountant?
Mela, I think we can move on to the final thing we have for today, Franco,
Yep.
which is our review for Love
So
Lives Bleeding, which
spoiler
Franco,
alert, by the way.
oh,
Spoiler
100%
alert.
we're getting to spoilers at this point. It's been out for quite a long time online. Like you, Franco, I've been resisting watching it online, and we got to watch it together. It was quite the experience. I think it was a very good movie to watch together because,
Yes, it was so interesting. Like, I'm glad actually that I didn't watch it on my own.
yes, yes, it was an experience watching it. Apart from some people laughing at some weird moments and some chatting here and there.
No, but the chatter boxes when I did shit, they got the message. I
Yes,
think
yes,
that
yes.
they were slightly coded. They weren't realizing that they were like speaking loudly. Most probably they were enjoying the movie, because unfortunately that's how movie going is. Like you watch a movie and people talk a lot. It's not just in St James, but it's happening also in Eden cinemas where we had. I remember my father and I had to change places to watch a movie because all they were talking so much. But it is what it is. Didn't really reduce the enjoyment factor of
No,
this movie
definitely
at
not.
all.
So, Love Lies Bleeding. Gym manager Lou falls for Jackie, a bodybuilder who is passing through town en route to a competition in Las Vegas. Franco, what did you think about Love Lies Bleeding?
So, um, um, first off, I'm gonna say right out of the bat, I prefer Saint Maud to this, but that doesn't mean that Rose Glass is not a director to watch. She's still a director to watch. I'm really looking forward for her third feature. This was a bold outing by Rose Glass. It works on its own terms. It goes many different directions. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. But for me, they mostly worked. In fact, there's one particular moment where for Andrea it didn't work at all. But for me, it's just like, you know what, I'm letting it go, and it has it is blackly humorous, Kate O'Brien and Kirsten Stewart were amazing. The chemistry is there. There were even their relationship is very hot. I think someone said that this movie shows how love hurts and love also heals.
Hmm.
And there's also the
Interesting way
things
to look at
about
it.
family. Yeah, it's. I saw this on Letterbox. So visually, it's great. I think all of the actors actually. Like Dave Franco was also a great performance.
Yes. So good.
Jenna Malone as well. It's interesting because now that I'm thinking more about that phrase, even because when Jenna Malone realizes what happens, she's like, "He was my husband." Like even though things happened to her, she still like stood by his side, which is crazy.
Hmm.
And I think this movie is the epitome of crazy, by the way, as well, because the direction it goes like, what is happening, you know? Yeah, exactly.
Yep. This scene. And we're like, what? What the fuck?
I think this movie has lots of influences in there, which Rose Glass makes her own. Cronenberg, um, uh, Coen Brothers, I would say,
Yes, Coen
noir,
Brothers. Yes, yes,
the
yes.
noir element as well, the horror, the body horror. Like I didn't expect bodybuilding to be a bit like the sound effect as well. I have to mention as well the sound design in it was also like
Yes,
something
very
that
good.
made
Remember,
made
Franco, at one scene, I was like, what in the Cronenberg is going on screen?
yes, yes, the moment during the bodybuilding contest.
Yep. And that,
It is.
and her giving birth to Kirsten Stewart's character. Jesus, my
Through her
God,
mouth, basically.
faqali moħħi. And literally in Maltese, faqali moħħi. Like it blew
Yes,
my
yes.
mind, certain
It
scenes.
is a what the fuck movie. It is a
Yes.
definitely what the fuck movie.
It goes for it, right, Franco? I think this is her
Yes.
second feature. Am I right? Saint Maud was her
Hmm.
directorial debut. This is her second feature, and
Same
I
mod.
think
Same mod.
Saint Maud was her directorial debut, exactly. And I think she takes some very bold decisions here. Very, very bold decisions. I love the body horror, like you, Franco. I love the body horror. I think she does it excellently, portraying it. And you mentioned very good. You mentioned the sound effects. The sound design was so induce such horror in myself. That's the
Crunchy.
one thing that really gets me. And needles and needles, and there's a lot of needles in this. Um, uh, Very memorable scenes. I think this film has some very, very memorable scenes, whether it's the actual bodybuilding scene, whether it's the couple of murders that take place, whether it's the final 5 minutes, which I'll get into in a second. I wasn't the biggest fan of. Did lose me a little bit there. Although some of the humor, I didn't expect some of the humor. Again, tonally, and I told you this as we left the cinema. Tonally, I didn't always get it. I'm like, the humor doesn't fit in this part. Like I didn't get why Rose Glass decided to go for some humor in certain scenes. But obviously, it's her choice at the end of the day. It's her film. What I really want to talk about is the final 5 minutes, right? And obviously, big spoilers coming up. So anyone, viewers and listeners, if you haven't watched Love Lies Bleeding, please make sure to skip the next part.
But
The final
thanks for
5 minutes,
tuning in. Goodbye.
which is
Bonkers.
bonkers crazy. So we see Katie O'Brien's character injecting even more fucking steroids and turning into a giant.
No, she didn't. She wasn't ejecting any.
She
was-
wasn't.
she's
She just got angry. She just got really angry listening to
yeah.
to the sounds of Kristen Stewart's father beating her up. She got really angry. She hulked out, but she hulked out to the extreme. She had already hulked out before, and she had already grown kind of like bigger in that scene
Yeah,
where she
yeah.
hulked out and bam, slammed Dave
And
Franco's
yeah,
face.
exactly.
Mamma Madonna.
That's one moment. Did you hear me go? What the fuck? When I saw her like, why is the perspective not making sense? The proportions not making sense. It's like, what? Why is she bigger? You know.
That
So there
part
was
I
a little bit.
loved. That part I loved. I was all in for that part because it felt, for I don't have the better words than tasteful, in that particular scene.
Mm.
It's the final scene which I didn't get. Now I get that the film had been building up to that moment. I get that there were references to cartoons at the start of the film as well, which make
Mm.
reference to a giant picking up someone. So I get that Rose Glass was building up to that moment, right? I 100% get
Mm.
it. And I think I'm not sure if I get what she was going for there, but I kind of get what she's going for. I think the idea is quite clear. But I don't agree with the whole decision of turning Katie O'Brien's character into a giant. I don't know. You liked it, Franco. What did you like about it?
It's absurd, the absurdity of it all, because the movie is absurd, and I think as far as Stonely goes, it fit. Again, she take like I said, I think she took
Mm-hmm.
from many different influences. I think that was, I would say, the Attack of the 50 Feet Woman. You know, there's that thing, and it goes places with fantasy as well. Even listen, it's also reminded me of Thelma and Louise at certain moments.
Hmm.
Even like, because if you remember, even the last scene of Thelma and Louise,
Mm-hmm.
and that freeze frame. Again, you don't. I mean, you don't understand exactly. It's absurd. You don't understand exactly why they did that to begin with. Spoilers for Thelma and Louise for anyone who hasn't seen it.
Fair enough.
You
Through
know?
you talk about the scene in the car.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Where they just like, okay, now we're gonna jump. It's like, okay, why?
True, 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 true. Uh-huh.
And there's maybe that bit, like, we don't know whether they both went mad or not. But again, this is a movie that works on its own terms.
Mm-hmm.
And even at the end, like, they both became giants. Where do you see them like running in the clouds as well? I'm just like, okay, this is absurd humor, surreal. I mean, even Ed Harris with that hairdo was creepy and surreal to to the perfect level as well. Um,
I was in
I
up to
was
that point. It's just like I
it
love
throws you
when a
off. Yes,
director.
it.
It threw me off. It threw me off. That's it. It threw me off because I love when a director, like in my review of La Chimera, I mentioned this as well. I love when a director mixes realism, a realistic look at things, but then adds elements, magical elements into it or fantastical elements into it.
Mm-mm-mm.
I love when a director does this, and I love when a director does that in a very tasteful fashion.
Where it
Here,
gels.
where it blends, yes, where it blends. Like, for example, the hulking out scene with slamming Dave Franco. I got that, and I love that. That was probably one of my favorite moments in this film. I think the whole giant aspect of it was a step too far. Now, maybe that's because I'm a bit conservative
Mm.
when it comes to filmmaking. Could be. That's my conservative side of filmmaking, kind of taking over. Maybe with rewatches, I would get it more. Could be the case, but on my first watching, I wasn't the biggest fan of it. I felt it felt a little cheap in a certain way.
Too much of a Deus Ex Machina.
To It's not the storytelling that's the issue, because I mean, even if she didn't turn into a giant, she could still pick him up and throw him away anyways. So I don't think
Mm.
we needed that to turn her into a Deus Ex Machina, because she was already was Deus Ex Machina. She's a massive bodybuilder. She could beat him up at any second, at any time she wants to, right? Which she does to Dave Franco in that scene, man. Bam, bam, bam. Holy shit, that
Very
very,
visceral.
very beautifully shot, very beautifully done. Really, really well done scene. It's more it just didn't blend with the rest of the film. It just threw me off, like you said, Franco. It just threw me off completely. Which some people love, some people absolutely adore, something like that.
Yeah,
Some people
this
love being
this
thrown off.
this is not burst out laughing, because I was laughing my head off.
Oh, Kate had the
I get.
same issue as I did regarding the ending.
Mm,
But then, Franco, I heard some people leaving saying this is one of the worst things they've ever watched. So
la la la.
yes, yes, yes. When I was waiting for you outside the toilet, I heard some people, some young women passing by saying that was one of the worst films they've ever watched, and then another guy saying that was like ridiculous and none of it made sense. So again, I think it's going to be mixed reactions to it. I'm curious, what does this have on Letterboxd?
I think it's 3.8 or 3.7.
But I think Letterboxd is the wrong place to look for this because Letterboxd are going to be more willing to.
IMDb, in fact, is 6 point something, 6.7 for fat.
So on Letterboxd, it's got 3.6, which I think is a fair rating. A24 She-Hulk.
Yes.
Now on IMDb, you said it's 6.7.
6 point something, 6.2 actually, almost 5.
6.7. It's 6.7. I just looked it up now
Okay.
on IMDb. 6.7. So more or less we're there, right? I'm guessing this is going to have a lot of high ratings and a lot of very low ratings. If I check the ratings for it, that's my guess for the reactions, because I'm guessing lots of people will love this, lots of people will hate this, and in fact, 6.1% gave this a 1, but the majority gave this a 7. Gave this a 7. So some balanced reviews here. 3.7k gave 16.7% gave this a 6. 19.5% gave this an 8. 9.2% gave this a 10. So balanced reviews, to be fair. So we're in the 8, 7, 6 kind of rating mostly, which I think is very fair.
I feel like that this is this is a good segue to her next movie. I think she's exploring, because even Joe said that the first one was a very straight horror. You know, it's a religious horror. This is what's going to do, and she tried something different. You know, it's like you'd expect a noir love story to go certain places. So she was trying different ways to go. Like I said, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. With you, for example, The Giant didn't work. I was getting used to the weirdness of it all, so I was like, again, it can throw you off, but even Lynch, I think there's so many influences put
But
in.
Lynch is a master. Lynch is a master of the magical realism, though. Lynch is an absolute master. These are real elements of Lynch's films are just like done so well, so well that I think comparing her to Lynch would be unfair on Rose Glass.
No. I'm not saying like she was derivative of Lynch at all. But
the influences, yes, the influences I see.
It's Lynch,
100%.
yeah.
The influences I see, yes, 100%. So as a rating, Franco, what would you give Love Lies Bleeding?
I gave it a 4 on 5.
Okay, interesting. Because despite not agreeing on the ending, I also give this a 4 out of 5. Because I loved the first, how long was it? First 1 hour, 30 minutes so much. So I also give this a 4 out of 5. I was closer to a 4.5 prior to the final 5 minutes. The final 5 minutes threw me off, so I reduced the rating by a half. Probably could have reduced it maybe a little more, but I loved most of it so much that I think this deserves a 4.
That's one thing, and for me it was the other way around, where it's like at first it wasn't. I felt the first few, let's say 45 minutes, 1 hour was not getting into gear, and then when it's like when the steroids start to hit, that the movie picks up the pace.
You didn't enjoy the build-up of the relationship, Franco?
No, it makes sense. Like, but it was just taking too much of its time for the build up. You know what I mean?
It's not a long movie, to be fair. It's 1 hour 44 minutes.
No. But it felt a bit plodding. But then it started picking up. You know, I was expecting her to go straight right off the bat. You know, with the surrealism and whatnot. But then again, like when it picks up the pace, it just goes places. You know. Like I think the moment when you see Gina Malone and her face, that's where it starts to that's where it picks up the pace. You know, it's like
100%.
Even certain tension, certain tense moments when they stop at the red light and she meets her.
That was funny. But even then, for example, like if it was up to me, I wouldn't have gone for a funny moment there. I would have gone for a tense. But although to be fair, there it does work because it's tense, but it's funny at the same time. So
Exactly.
I get it. If I was making that film, I wouldn't have added humor to that scene, for example. I would never have thought of adding humor to that scene. I would have kept it 100% tense. But again, I understand why she went for it, right? I understand why she went for the humor there. All right, Franco, I think we can end the podcast here. Good 2 hours. Had some technical
Solid
issues at the
hours.
start, but the final 1 hour, 15 minutes, no issues, which is good. Always good not to have technical issues. To all our viewers and listeners, thank you so much for watching the Ad Lib Podcast. We'll be back next week. As always, dear viewers, don't forget to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Don't forget to leave a comment if you enjoyed the podcast. Let us know about all the different shows. We had a lot of series to talk about today. House of the Dragon, The Rings of Power. We had the Dune Prophecy and so much more to talk about. Let us know if you are interested in any of those shows. Let us know what you think about Megalopolis, especially. Unfortunately, we did not have time to talk about Longlegs, but maybe we'll refer to it quickly next week if we don't have a packed week next week. Next week is not Furiosa, right? No, Furiosa is the week after.
Furiosa is this Friday apparently.
Furiosa is the 29th in Malta, ta? Franco. Furiosa is the 29th in Malta.
So next week. But for Joe is this Friday.
For Joe, it will be this Friday. So Joe will have his review for Furiosa. We'll get that out, and then obviously we and Franco will review it the week after. If you're come and watch it on opening day, Franco, don't know.
Sure thing.
So that's it for today, dear viewers and listeners. Thank you so much for joining us on the Ad Lib Podcast. We'll see you guys next week. Thank you, Franco. Always a good time making the Ad Lib Podcast.
Thank you, Andrea. And as always.
And those thumbnails, dude, those moving thumbnails look so good, man. They look so good.
Thank you.
We just need to find a way to get them out more. I don't know how.
Modify.app, and also leave the like as well. Leave a like, to leave a heart as well. That's helps the algorithm gods, appease the algorithm gods.
100%. And with that, peace out. Ciao,
Peace
ciao.
out. Free Palestine. Ciao.
Sempre.